Anon! Go take a shower now! You smell like shit!
No!
Ugh, not even Moon Dancer goes this long without bathing, and she never even goes outside!
So what? Human anatomy is different to pony anatomy. I don't need to shower every day. You, Anon, haven't showered for, how long was it again?
It's been 5 months since you last showered! I've been counting, and it's disgusting!
Oh, right. That long. You had a good reason for it. It was scientifically sound and everything. You thought a certain pony would appreciate that, but unfortunately she's been giving you shit since the first 30 days passed.
You need to shower, Anon! There's no such thing as a dermatological toxic pore purge!
Then how come I heard about it from a doctor,
Ugh! You read it out of a tabloid, in the waiting room of a dentist!
And?
Ugh! Minuet isn't even a doctor yet!
That doesn't mean anything. How can you be so ignorant anyways? The smell is a byproduct of...
Your stench isn't the result of toxins evaporating from your skin! It's from the gaseous emissions caused by your sweat aggravating the bacterial growths that have accumulated on your skin! Because you refuse to bathe!
I didn't expect a mayor of science like yourself to be so resistant to change. Isn't that what science is all about? Evolving standards and change from encountering new evidence? She looks real upset now.
It's pseudoscience! They're fake and unsupported claims written to catch your attention for few bits! Not even the ponies writing that junk believe what they're saying!
Then how come wild animals don't need to bathe, How about that?
They do bathe, Anon! More frequently than you!
Well, yeah, they bathe when ponies, like Fluttershy, force them to bathe. Real wild animals don't need to bathe.
Fine!
What? Hey, what are you doing? Put me... Ah!
If you want to act like a wild animal so much, then go live with them! And don't come back until you're ready to act and smell like some pony civilized!
With a slam of the doors, you find yourself outside on a cool evening. You didn't need her. You're gonna prove her wrong when you come back completely revitalized. That'll show her. You make your way to the outskirts of town, heading towards the forest with the few ponies outside scrunching their snouts in disgust as you pass them.
My little pony, I used to wonder what friendship could be, until you all shared its magic with me. Big adventure, tons of fun, a beautiful heart, faithful and strong, sharing kindness, it's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete. You have mine. Do you know you're all my very best friends? Be Twilight Sparkle. You didn't want to do that, but Anon was being ridiculous. All that pseudoscience he's been parroting for the past 5 months has been unbearable. He refused to brush his yellowing teeth too, foster healthy blood flow through the gums, which just means moderate gingivitis. His ears were completely caked in earwax from his auditory hair cell nourishment, which gave him an ear infection that lasted for 2 weeks. He'd been itching his crotch for the past 2 months, citing his experimental genital vitality enhancement as the cause, when he probably just is aptly tough on his junk. Not to mention a huffle of other ludicrous excuses for being absolutely disgusting.
Something the matter? Where's Anon?
I kicked him out until he finally bathed himself. Was I too harsh?
I'm not complaining. He smells worse than those sulfur pits in the Dragonlands.
Spike goes back to his business, leaving you to think over a good book and some tasty dinner. Maybe Fluttershy would know what to do. She deals with wild animals on a daily basis. Then again, so have you since Anon stopped washing himself.
There, that'll do it. You look proudly at the forest shelter you built with your bare hands. Thick branches make up the structural frame of the shelter, fastened securely with only the toughest vines. A pile of leaves lie on its branch roof, providing ample shade and insulation. Long strips of moss cover the front door to your abode, giving you a little privacy and more protection from the elements. It takes you a bit of time, but you manage to start a fire just in time for nightfall. You can feel the warmth radiate into your hands once it starts to get going. Satisfied, you sit down on the cool ground and enjoy yourself. A cool gust of wind brushes against your face. You close your eyes and cherish the sounds of leaves rustling and the fire crackling. You didn't need Twilight, or anybody else for that matter. You were going to accomplish your goal all by yourself. Opening your eyes, you're met with a blast of hot air from the raging inferno in front of you. Clambering backwards in a panic, you evaluate your surroundings. Taking a quick glance to your shelter, you realize it's no longer there. You may have been exaggerating the structural integrity of your shitty twig shelter, considering that gust of wind just toppled it on top of the campfire. And you may have used too much moss, noted by the rapidly growing fire. You decide to book it deeper into the forest. No way were you catching the blame for this, even if it was your fault. Which it wasn't, of course. Didn't the Pegasi control the wind? Or is it one of those few things that actually occurs naturally around here? Even so, it's Twilight's fault for kicking you out. If anyone's responsible for that fire, it's Twilight Sparkle.
Be Twilight Sparkle, causer of forest fires. You woke up today prepared for Anon to be either asleep at your front door, or pounding on it, demanding to be let in. However, he hasn't come back. Much to your delight and concern. It was nice to have a morning without Anon pushing your buttons, especially so during this phase he's been going through. But you felt a nagging thought at your heart. What if he got himself hurt or killed because you kicked him out? What if he got full napped by some diamond dogs, or bitten by a snake? What if an ocelot hunted him down? Calm down, Twilight. You're overreacting. He's probably fine. Maybe I should go see Fluttershy. She'll know what to do. Making your way to your yellow friend's house, you notice some commotion among the weather ponies assigned to Ponyville. They were barking orders to each other, some carrying buckets of water towards the smoky haze in the distance, others flying empty ones towards the lake. Was there a fire? Maybe you could help, and get your mind off this smelly business. As you get closer to your destination, you hear the chatter of weather ponies increase in volume. Your vision begins to water a little as the smell of charred wood enters your nostrils. Better than an unstink, at least. When you arrive at ground zero, you're a little shocked to say the least. The ground was blackened for at least half a mile. Trees had their bottom halves charred. Pegasi were flying to and fro, stifling out the few remaining splotches of flame on the edges of the damage. One Pegasus in particular was guiding a group of wild animals away from the smoky aftermath.
Don't worry, little critters. You'll all love the sanctuary. It's got a beautiful waterfall, the luscious trees, the greenest grass, cute little beds for you to get all snuggly in. Everything you'll all need while your home gets fixed up. Doesn't that sound nice?
Fluttershy was busying herself looking after the animals displaced by the fire before she noticed you.
Oh, hello, Twilight. Did you hear what happened?
Not at all. What happened?
Oh, it's just awful. Some ponies' campfire got out of control and caused a big fire. I hope it was only an accident, but these animals have nowhere to stay with their homes burnt to the ground. I couldn't leave them behind.
You grimaced internally. There was a 90% chance Anon screwed up building a campsite and ran away after he couldn't fix it himself. The other 10% was that Anon set the forest on fire out of spite, which wasn't entirely out of character for him. I think I know what happened.
Oh dear. What is it, Twilight?
You walk with Fluttershy to her cottage as you divulge the details of your spat with Anon last evening. Once she finishes introducing the animals to their new temporary home, she invites you in for a spot of tea.
Oh dear. You must have really hurt his feelings.
You don't understand, Fluttershy. He's reeked like this for months, and he's living with me. I couldn't take another day of it.
If it's only a phase like you said, he'll probably grow out of it soon, won't he?
Ugh, that's the thing. Anon doesn't grow out of anything until he gets bored of it. And I think he's getting some sick pleasure out of driving me to my wit's end. Remember when he was really into Nightmare Night pranks?
Well, you can't blame him for being festive, can you?
It was March!
Oh, right.
I don't know. Maybe I was harsh. But can you really blame me? I can only take so much of his antics.
Maybe you should try seeing things from his perspective.
What do you mean?
I mean, he's probably feeling like you don't understand him, or that you're trying to stifle him when he tries new things. Trying to understand him better might help.
What are you suggesting?
Maybe try it for yourself. His toxic flush thing.
Are you crazy, Fluttershy? I can't just stop bathing for Celestia knows how long. I'd be ridiculed as much as Anon.
Maybe that's why he's so upset. If they're ridiculing him and you aren't standing up for him, maybe he thinks you aren't his friend.
But that's ridiculous. I let him live with me free of charge.
Just give it a chance. Maybe he's onto something. Even if you end up not liking it, I'm sure it'd make him feel better.
Fluttershy.
Twilight.
Fine. I'll give it a chance.
I'm glad. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to check on the animals. You're welcome to come with if you'd like.
You are Anon, and you are hungry. Well, you aren't hungry anymore. When you ran into the forest, you managed to find a cave that seemed comfy enough to spend the night in. When you entered the cave, however, you were met with a bear. Now, this would have been terrible luck, but you happened to know this bear. It was none other than Harry, Fluttershy's friend with a bad back. He recognized you and smiled, before taking a sniff and smelling the god-awful stench you've been accumulating for over 5 months. Of course, the natural reaction to smelling all those toxins leaving your body is jealousy. Jealousy that led to Harry chasing you out of his cave with a terrifying roar. You wandered the forest for a while before stumbling upon Sweet Apple Acres. So, as any rational man would do, you climbed up a tree, grabbed an apple, ate it, and fell asleep. An hour passed as you dozed in and out of a morning nap before you heard some voices in the distance. You couldn't make out what they were saying, but you heard a familiar twang filled with ahs instead of eyes, ain'ts instead of am nots, and lots of double negatives.
I ain't telling you again, Apple Bloom.
But I'm not a little fool no more. I can go by myself, especially if Cousin Braver meets me at the station.
No means no, Apple Bloom. Now come on, we gotta clear this part of the orchard before. Whew. Was that you, Apple Bloom? And you say you ain't a fool no more.
That weren't me! I swear it!
Yeah, sure.
Applejack bucks one of the apple trees near you, causing your head to snap up. You hear a rumbling of apples hitting buckets as the two move on to the next tree. Right next to the tree you were sitting in. Uh-oh. Another whack sees the apples filling the buckets. You wrapped your arms around a branch, bracing for impact. Soon enough, you hear a crack, with a few apples falling into the buckets right below you. Phew.
You call that a buck? Tell you what, if you can buck this tree clean of apples in one more blow, I'll let you go to Appaloosa all by yourself.
Oh no.
You mean it? Shoot!
Apple Bloom rears up, readying herself. With a mighty kick backwards, she slams her hooves into the tree trunk. One apple falls from the tree. Phew.
Well, guess you're still a little filly after all, ain't you?
Apple Bloom huffs grumpily as she picks up one of the buckets, throwing it into the wheelbarrow. With a swift kick, Applejack finishes off the apple tree. Unfortunately, he didn't expect a third kick, and soon reenact a role reversal of Isaac Newton's claim to fame.
What in Sam Hill? Anon!
Applejack finally notices the apple cores strewn about the ground near the tree trunk.
You've been eating my apples. Why I oughta...
Applejack's snout scrunches up as her eyes water. She lets out a disgusted groan before planting a hoof over her nose. You take the opportunity to book it out of there, leaving the two sisters in shock as Applejack dry heaves into one of the empty buckets.
You are Twilight Sparkle, the smelliest horse in Ponyville. Probably even in Equestria. It's been 3 weeks and 6 days since you spoke with Fluttershy. You've been counting every day that you've forced yourself to undergo this cleansing. You haven't seen Anon since you kicked him out, but Applejack was very insistent on telling you every encounter she had with him. And he was just as smelly, if not even smellier, than he was before. It seems Anon had been rotating throughout her orchard every few days, sustaining himself only on her apples. It had driven Applejack insane trying to get him to go away. Not because he was eating her apples, but because he was making the apples taste awful just from being around them. Although, she hadn't seen him this past week, so he might have moved on to terrorize some other poor farmer. Through the last few weeks, you haven't understood the real purpose behind Anon's lack of hygiene. It feels awful, and gives you headaches just smelling yourself. But you began to understand how he might feel, as ponies would start talking behind your back, scrunching their noses in disgust. It didn't feel good at all, and kicking Anon out probably didn't help him. You promised yourself that you'd go out tomorrow to find him. Waking up, you sniff the air, only to be met with a terrible stench. You are still Twilight Sparkle, and you have officially not showered for a full month. You go through your morning routine, which has been heavily cut down to brushing your greasy mane with a greasy brush, before eating breakfast. You pine for the day you're able to shower again. You make and eat a quick small breakfast, before making your way to the front door. You attempt to open the door with your magic. However, the door swings open on its own, and you're met with the sight of none other than Anon himself.
Hey, Twilight. Spike made breakfast yet?
You look at Anon as he walks past. His skin looks amazing. His ears are completely clean. His teeth are still yellowed, but his breath had a pleasant mini scent. He was even wearing his sharp suit, cleaner than ever before. It's like the Anon you knew before he started his phase. Huh? What the? Anon? How did you... Wait, what's that?
Oh, this?
He was carrying a small plaque under his arm, which he brandishes with a goofy smirk.
Winnie's World Record Holder. Anonymous. Longest duration without bathing. 6 months. The last holder was a measly 2 weeks. Can you believe that? I read it in that magazine at the dentist's, and I said to myself, I could flatten that record. And I did. I wanted it to be a surprise, though, so I had to come up with that pseudoscience mumbo-jumbo.
What?
I was going to see if I could get 2 records, actually. One for not bathing, and one for not brushing your teeth. But it turns out the record for not brushing is 6 years. Can you believe that? The guy died from gum disease, though, so it was posthumous. Yeesh, Twilight. When was the last time you showered? You smell like shit.
What? You mean all this time?